Greetings. Today you'll be joining us for Basics to Building and Activating Your Library Ecosystem. And I'm going to introduce our three presenters today. Two others joining me are all a part of the ALA Library Ecosystem Subcommittee. We have myself, Delandrus Seales, and I am with University of North Carolina at Wilmington. And then we have Chris Rosser, who is faculty librarian at Oklahoma State, as well as Kathryn Thomas at the University of Tulsa. So we're going to explore a powerful concept that's reshaping how we think about libraries, not just as isolated institutions, but as interconnected parts of a vibrant collective ecosystem. It won't matter whether we work in school, public, academic, or special libraries. We all serve communities that rely on us at very different stages of life and learning. So the idea of an ecosystem recognizes that our impact is most greatest when we work together, sharing our resources, aligning our message, and advocating with one voice. So in this presentation, we're going to highlight that ecosystem thinking and how it strengthens our advocacy, deepens our partnerships, and help us respond to challenges with unity and purpose. And so we are going to, the first stage of our presentation, define that library ecosystem. We're going to explore what an ecosystem is, which is that interconnected network of all library types, the professionals and partners who are working together to serve our communities. We're going to describe the power of one voice. We're going to learn how that unified messaging and that collaborative advocacy can work to strengthen our ability to influence policy, protect intellectual freedom, and of course, support all library types. You will hear some personal stories of that ecosystem success, real-world examples of how that collaboration across school, public, academic, and special libraries has led to some meaningful impact and stronger community support. Of course, that ecosystem thinking in action and your role in the ecosystem will also be at play here, and you'll discover those strategic partnerships, shared goals, core values, and how all of those can transform those isolated efforts into a thriving and resilient library ecosystem. So let's learn how you can activate those connections for advocacy and growth.
So the library ecosystem concept refers to the vibrant, interconnected network of all types of libraries, academic, school, public, and special, alongside library workers and volunteers, associations, and partners who collaboratively provide and facilitate library services across communities, education levels, and organizations. Now, the importance of the ecosystem lies in the recognition that no library exists in isolation. I mean, as we'll talk about later, a patron of one library might need another's resources at a different stage of life or for a new purpose. And the challenges that libraries face, such as censorship or the attacks that we've seen on intellectual freedom, these types of challenges really require united, coordinated responses. So we imagine a dynamic library ecosystem where every library, public, academic, school, and special, joins forces with passionate staff, with volunteers, and with partners to serve communities at every stage of life. This interconnected approach makes each library stronger. It amplifies our shared values, and it unifies our voices for advocacy. By collaborating across boundaries and sharing common messaging, libraries become powerfully equipped to tackle legislative challenges, to safeguard access to intellectual freedom, and to create lasting collective impact. When libraries work together as an ecosystem, our advocacy isn't just stronger, it's actually transformative, ensuring diverse and sustainable access for all. So the ecosystem thinking that we're talking about, it empowers and it energizes libraries in really significant ways. Here are three. This helps us to nurture effective leadership, intentional communication, and also strategic collaboration. And all of these are vital for responding collectively to the kinds of crises that we are facing and for advancing our advocacy goals. Now, second, ecosystem thinking helps us to speak with one voice. It increases our legislative and also our public awareness. It strengthens messaging and enables libraries to champion policies that are benefiting all types of libraries, even in the face of the really significant challenges that we face, not least resource threats. And finally, ecosystem thinking helps us to provide systematic collaboration that ensures that library organizations and trustees, vendors, literacy groups, all of these para groups around library communities, that we all work together as allies and not competitors by creating shared agendas, shared goals, and sustained community impact. That's the benefit of ecosystem thinking.
Most patrons at some point in their information journey engage with at least two major types of libraries. Young readers often form strong connections with their school libraries, and many adults rediscover the joy of reading through the invaluable resources of public libraries. Although patrons may favor a particular type of library, they often overlook the differences in services that each one provides. And as library professionals, we understand there is a right tool and a right library for every request. However, the patrons we serve may not realize that having library in our building's name does not equate to a set of offering services. Without an established or growing rapport with other libraries in your region, referring a patron elsewhere can feel more like a dismissal than genuine assistance. When we take the time to learn the goals and the struggles of all of our region's libraries, we're not only building connection, we're learning how we might advocate for one another. We are stronger when we seek to know and not just assume that the other library branch will be there when we need it. If we want to weave together a network of reciprocal advocacy that can run in the background, then we must be willing to collaborate and connect with one another before any dire times arrive. I have always thought of libraries as an ecosystem, and an ecosystem is such a wonderful analogy for interlibrary collaboration because it encompasses the ideals of partnership and connection that allow all the branches of the library world to thrive. If your ecosystem is thriving, then you have found balance. In any natural ecosystem, each part depends on every other part, even if that relationship isn't glaringly apparent at the time. And just as our natural ecosystems keep life on Earth thriving, our libraries help people make connections, advance skills, and hopefully make contributions that further improve our world. Libraries get separated from each other in the business of it all and forget how much we have in common professionally and how much we can support each other in collaborative advocacy. Though I know all of this to be true, it is crucial to stop and assess the possible interactions and preconceived notions my patrons may have about libraries in general. And I think for most user groups at least, the types of libraries live in separate categories for these patrons. Some of this isolated thinking is reinforced when libraries assume patrons know that we all have a specialty. But do our patrons know where to go to get that specific kind of help they need? While I know we can't all do the same things, libraries certainly do not help combat this divisive image by staying so separate in their planning, outreach, and communications. If we want to ensure our patrons are familiar with all of their available resources, we must first make ourselves aware of how we can best work together. This collaboration not only provides our patrons with better resources, but it allows us to advocate for one another, both professionally and to our community stakeholders. This is why building partnerships across library types is essential. When you know precisely which library can complement your services, your patrons benefit from a visible, supportive network, and they begin to see the true value of all libraries working together. When I begin to consider partnerships, I like to identify the strengths of not only the institution, but also the people who work in that environment. Academic libraries have excellent resources, and they also typically have more staff to help patrons use those resources. Much like K-12 libraries, academic libraries carry an expectation of instruction and continued research. Public libraries see so many of our community members and have the opportunity to identify the information needs of everyday adults. Also, free stuff. We can always use more free services and resources. The middle child of libraries, K-12, have the best opportunity to prepare our patrons for the real and academic worlds. They see the trends in learning and technology uses. They know what future college students have been exposed to and what future adult public library patrons might be struggling with. Now, you may notice different strengths than I do, but the purpose of taking stock is to see how you can leverage the other library's strengths so you both succeed. And when finding something's strengths, the areas of need naturally reveal themselves. I don't think we should note strengths so that we can say, I can do it better. I think we need to identify these things so that we can come to those initial planning meetings and say, I can do X, but I'm not sure if you can. Is this something I can help with? While exploring strengths, it's also a great time to ask, do my patrons even know that they can get this service from another library? While making note of these institutional strengths, you can also identify your personal areas of expertise, offering yourself as a resource for special programming or for patron education. Yes, all of our libraries are staffed by librarians, but that does not mean that we all do the same things or have the same natural skill sets. Capitalizing on both your institutional and personal assets can help any library ecosystem thrive. By coming to these initial planning meetings with a firm understanding of both our areas of need and plenty, we will be, in turn, showing up with an attitude that can help build a foundation of continued support and advocacy.
So I want to talk for a moment about the myth of going it alone. Now, the myth of going it alone in librarianship is the mistaken belief that an individual library can fully meet the needs of its community independently, without relying on the network support and resources of other libraries in the ecosystem. When a library operates in isolation, it really risks fragmented messaging, duplicated efforts, and diminished advocacy effectiveness, especially in the face of legislative threats or censorship attempts. Going it alone can result in missed opportunities for resource sharing, for professional collaboration, and for unified community outreach, ultimately limiting the service that libraries can provide to their patrons. Libraries do not exist in isolation. Rather, they are members of a larger ecosystem comprising public, academic, school, and special libraries, each serving distinct but overlapping roles. And the reality is that library users move fluidly across these boundaries. A child who frequents a school library may become a public library user during the summer, and later depend on academic libraries in college or a special library, maybe for professional development. And this interconnectedness means that libraries must see themselves not as competitors, but as essential allies devoted to mutual support and shared impact. Well, in short, the myth of going it alone overlooks the fluidity of patron needs and the real power of collective action. No library is truly independent. Each is rooted in and is strengthened by the vibrant library ecosystem around it. So working together across the ecosystem empowers ecosystem advocacy, and here's why that matters. Effective advocacy isn't just about legislative action. It's about building partnerships so that others will act for and with us. When we connect across library types, we amplify our collective voice in ways that strengthen every library's ability to serve its community. Now, academic libraries bring unique assets to this ecosystem advocacy work. We offer research capacity, instructional expertise, and often the space to experiment with emerging technologies, like artificial intelligence. When we partner with public and school libraries to address shared challenges, whether that's AI literacy, intellectual freedom, workforce development, we're not just helping them. We're building the kind of coordinated professional influence that makes legislators, funders, and communities take notice. So think about it in this way. A public library advocating for funding is powerful, but when that same library can point to partnerships with academic institutions, collaborative training programs across library types, and coordinated messaging, that's advocacy with depth and breadth that's hard to ignore. And this is what it means to be change agents within our ecosystem. We connect different stakeholders. We raise awareness beyond our immediate communities. We inspire stronger support by demonstrating that libraries aren't isolated service points. We are an interconnected force that is working towards shared goals. When we speak with one voice across the ecosystem, we transform individual efforts into movements that shape public understanding and policy. And academic libraries in particular can be vital connective tissue in this work, bringing our resources and expertise to strengthen advocacy across the entire ecosystem.
There are common goals across all library types. And of course, as mentioned, we must have one voice for library advocacy. Despite differences in the audience and the services, all libraries share a commitment to access, equity, lifelong learning, and community engagement. We also have shared challenges, whether it's budget constraints, censorship, digital literacy gaps. Libraries face similar obstacles that are best addressed together. By aligning our goals through collaborative advocacy, such as promoting literacy, supporting education, and ensuring intellectual freedom, we amplify our voice and our impact. There's some examples of these common goals that were shared previously, but especially supporting student success in both school and academic settings, promoting digital inclusion with public and academic libraries, and encouraging civic engagement and informed citizenship across all library types. So let's stop thinking in those silos. When we recognize our shared goals, we can build stronger coalitions and advocate more effectively. We have core values of librarianship, and again, that one voice unites us. Libraries are built on values such as intellectual freedom, privacy, access to information, and service to the public. These values transcend all of those library types. They are indeed what bind school, public, academic, and special libraries into a cohesive ecosystem. Our advocacy is rooted in these values because when we advocate for libraries, we're not just asking for funding. We're defending the principles that uphold democracy and education. We live these values as librarians. Every interaction with a patron is an opportunity to demonstrate our values in action, whether it's helping a student find credible sources or guiding a community member through a job search. One voice has many faces. Though our libraries may look different, our values give us a common language and a common purpose. That's the power of ecosystem thinking. Now let's take a few moments to discover the faces of ecosystems work in action. Kathryn?
I have had the opportunity to leverage my background as a school librarian and secondary educator to build a relationship with the local area high school librarians and students through an original conference platform that was developed by McFarland Library in Tulsa, Oklahoma. With this conference, we're able to offer professional development and networking opportunities for local Tulsa area school librarians. In return, we get the opportunity to work with local high school students, teaching them the importance of academic libraries for their future degrees, and even teaching information literacy skills that will help close that knowledge gap before it becomes a deficit to them in college. I have also helped our library become a recognized community partner for our public library system, which I've been able to call upon to help our local school librarians. In addition to having these public librarians speak at our annual conference, our public librarians have also been able to assist in resource sharing when local area high school groups visit our campus for summer programs. Being a former Oklahoma school librarian, I have a solid understanding of the shortcomings in terms of resources and support in the K-12 setting, but I am so glad that I was able to adapt my ecosystem and leverage my position at TU to be a resource and an advocate for school and public libraries throughout the year. Advocating for the other libraries in my network is not a strain or an extra duty. It's an opportunity to nourish our library ecosystem and provide more support for all of our patrons at every stage of their information literacy journeys.
Having worked as a librarian in school, public, and academic libraries, I've seen firsthand how each library type plays a unique yet interconnected role in a person's lifelong learning journey. In K-12 schools, especially those when I worked, a library sparked that curiosity and built those foundational skills that encourage that lifelong learning, digital citizenship, information literacy, and now AI literacy. Public libraries extend that learning into everyday life by offering the access to equity and community support. This is evident in North Carolina's database offerings via NC Live and NC Live Wise Owl for the community and especially for those K-12 learners through that one-card access to powerful electronic resources and databases. Academic libraries, such as University of North Carolina Wilmington and the entire UNC system, deepen inquiry and foster critical thinking. In North Carolina, they even support pre-service teachers through those curriculum material resource centers, STEM programming, and professional development offerings for area teachers. Subject librarians offer information literacy that's tailored to the needs of the local schools, teachers, and classrooms. They also provide resource sharing in collaboration with those area teachers. When all of these institutions collaborate, whether it's sharing resources, expertise, and advocacy, we create a seamless support system for our patrons. My experience has taught me that the strength of our ecosystem lies within our willingness to recognize each other's value and work together to meet evolving community needs.
Okay, so let me share something that I've been witnessing firsthand. Maybe it's a quiet but powerful shift that's happening in how academic libraries are showing up within the broader ecosystem. Here's what I'm seeing. Academic libraries are uniquely positioned to be capacity builders for AI literacy, not just within our own walls, but actually across the entire ecosystem. And it's not just theory. This is already happening in really exciting ways. So in my own work at Oklahoma State, I've had the privilege of meeting with public librarians and school librarians to provide workshops on engaging with generative AI. And what strikes me most about these sessions is the eagerness for this kind of collaboration. Public librarians are facing patron questions about AI every day. They're facing potential workforce empowerment and upskilling, questions about job applications, resume writing, and understanding news articles that mention AI, not to mention misinformation and disinformation. School librarians are navigating conversations with students and teachers about academic integrity and creativity and when not to use these tools. So academic librarians are in a unique position to draw on our instructional expertise, our research on emerging technologies, and frankly, the space we often have to experiment and to explore. What excites me most about this work is that it draws on what academic libraries have always done well, which is the behind-the-scenes work of developing models and approaches. As we think about the interconnected nature of our library ecosystem, I invite us to consider how academic libraries can really be vital capacity builders, leveraging our instructional expertise and research orientation and our collaborative spirit to help the entire ecosystem level up in AI literacy. We're not just teaching students, we're strengthening the capacity of every library type to serve their communities in this AI-influenced world.
No one is spared the budget cuts coming in from the federal, state, and institutional levels. No one can fully tune out the external noise created by both genuine and agenda-driven stakeholders voicing what libraries should and shouldn't be doing. And whether you're taking an optimistic or a reproachful attitude towards the future of information dissemination, it's going to continue to change at a breakneck pace, leaving patrons and librarians in a desperate search for best practice. The landscape of librarianship is changing. If we want our libraries to remain relevant and emerge stronger, we need to be certain that we're advocating for one another and expanding our ecosystem. We cannot just assume someone else is taking care of it, just as we cannot guarantee that our patrons know the wealth of resources available to them at each of our branches. We have overlapping areas of expertise and support, but we will remain oblivious to each other's strengths if we fail to make connections. It's through these small asks that we build our ecosystem of support. Please look out for the recorded webinar, Show Up, Speak Up,